Good morning and welcome to Family Hour. Thank you all for joining us this morning. My name is Celine Garza. I am the director for our campus family and community engagement team at San Antonio ISD. And I'm joined this morning by our team. We have Angela Menchaca. Wave, Angela, so that everyone knows who you are. She's also our co-presenter this morning. We also have Cassandra Negrete, part of our campus support team, Wave, and Martha Solis, who is also joining us this morning. We're super excited to have you all join us today, and we're happy to be presenting our family hour. And so super excited to tell you also that it's received 2 state awards, right? One from Texas Statewide Initiative, which is why we're here, and another from the TSPRA, from our Texas School Public Relations Association for Crystal School Community Partnership. So super proud of our team for having accomplished all that we have with our family hour, and that's why we're excited to share that with you. Because we included families in the redesign of this program, we can share this model with other districts across the state so that you too can support the learning with your families and it can continue at home. So this can be used in all different aspects of children's learning, whether you're at secondary, elementary, and so we're excited to share what that process can look like. So we want to highlight today how we can work together to support our children's success. All right. So first off, right, we want to give you a roadmap, a clear roadmap. And if you guys like to take notes, feel free to take those out, but we're also going to share a Padlet with you. Typically, when we do this session in person, we provide a handout so that by the end of our session, you come out with a plan. You're ready to go. So we're going to do some brainstorming on what are some sessions that you do at your district, at your workplace, where you can enhance after today's session. So the first thing, right? Why are we here? Why are you here? Obviously, we want to enhance our skills. We want to enhance our programming, our initiatives. So here's an opportunity so that you can strengthen family engagement in any activity you do. Whether it's enhancing student learning, whether it's team building at your workplace, whatever that may look like, this is what we're going to do today. How are we going to get there? How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to review some key components of Family Hour that were redesigned that helped us get to the award-winning model that we're sharing. And then finally, what's in it for you, right? You're here today because you want to gain something. So what's in it for you? We want you to leave with a plan, with an actionable plan on how you're going to enhance whatever initiative or programming that you're gonna focus on. So that's how we're gonna do that. So moving on to the next slide.
I'm gonna just share
Can you hear
really
me?
quick. Can you hear
Yes.
me? So
Yeah.
Cassandra is going to put in the chat a template to the worksheet so that you all can have a copy of it. Y'all can download it. It's in Canva. So you'll just click download template. You'll scroll down. You can have that for your reference. It'll be the same worksheet that we're going to work through on Padlet. The reason why we're offering both is because one, we want everyone to see how we're working through the different scenarios that we're going to work through. And then the worksheet is so that you can have a record of your plan that you walk away with today. So there's going to be those two options. Okay.
So you can work on the worksheet or you can use the Padlet, either one. We just wanted to give you ways to be able to interact with us today. So what is Family Hour, right? Who better than to tell you more about this than the organization who recognized our Family Hour as a model. And so you'll hear the video that was used with our statewide initiative, PFE group. Then you'll also hear our superintendent, our teacher of teachers. So let's listen to learn a little bit more about what Family Hour actually is. We're going to play a short video for you.
I am so proud of our award-winning Office of Family and Community Engagement. Their Family Hour program, which is earning accolades, was launched in direct response to families asking for more meaningful ways to participate in their children's academic journey. Family Hour is more than a program. It's a reflection of the deep partnership between schools and families.
The main goal was to boost family engagement by offering high-quality sessions that engaged but also empowered families. We wanted them to feel confident about supporting their children's learning at home.
It's so important for us to really hear the voices of our families, and part of what our families wanted was something that was more practical and accessible to support true learning at home. I understood this personally very deeply through my own personal experiences as a parent here of 2 students in SAISD. Not always knowing how to help with homework can be so challenging. That perspective really shifted our mindset through conversations that we were having with families, how we were going to model and encourage families to be those strongholds that their children's needed.
When families are empowered, our students thrive. We're not only meeting the needs of our students, but also of our families. And principals and educators love the program because it is an engaging and interactive experience for their families that also support their campus learning goals. This is a model program that can be replicated anywhere, and I am so proud of our team.
Families are more confident and feel more informed about their children and learning. So many say that Family Hour makes them feel heard, welcomed, and sees them as a valued partner who can contribute to their child's education. It created a more inclusive, collaborative school culture that embraces our district's mantra of familia. Teachers see parents and families engaged, which has led us to stronger relationships with each other.
Families may not always have the time or the tools, but they show up in love and commitment every day for their children. We felt that the evolution of Family Hour represented something bigger than just an initiative. It was a reimagining of what family engagement can look like when we lead with empathy and trust in our family's capacity.
I am proud of how we are lifting the voices of our families. Together, as a familia, we're building a brighter future for our students.
All right, so before we start, as we do with all of our family events, we always take time to build good community amongst each other, right? We have to build community and build that trust with each other. So we're going to connect. We all have family events. We all I want you to think of one that you think, you know what, we have this fantastic event, but we're missing something. Whether it's building capacity, whether it's, making it more relational, it's missing something. So I want you to think about one event using the Padlet, and I believe Cassandra just put the link in your chat for you, so you can click on that where you'll be sharing and brainstorming your thoughts. And actually, you'll be working on a plan as we keep referring back to it throughout the presentation. So using the Padlet link shared, share a family workshop, an event, a session that you currently host at your district, at your campus, or at your workplace, where there's a good opportunity to build on it. This will be the event, the session that you'll be working on, as I mentioned, building on throughout the rest of our session. So go ahead and take a second to do that. Cassandra's put the link on the chat, and this is what it'll look like. Okay. So the first thing I'm asking you to do is on the far left, name the Family Engagement Workshop session event you want to enhance. So go ahead and take a second to click on the post and do that.
So if you've done a reading night, or if you've done a math night, or if you've done a festival or anything like that at your campus it's worked great, or maybe it hasn't had the success that you wanted it to have, that's what we want you to identify. Think about that a little bit, and as we go through and we share our strategies and our alignment and everything that we do during our family hour session, we want you to take that and think about that family opportunity that you want to see grow.
Here we go.
Because if
Okay.
there's one thing that we've learned, even being award winning, there's always room for growth. There's always room to improve all of our practices.
Wonderful. There we go.
Family Day, Family Fun Day Resource Fair, Grand Familia support groups. Okay.
Oh, so it
It
says
looks like we still have some more people typing. I guess it's just taking a little bit of time, especially navigating if you've never
try
used
Padlet.
Padlet before. Yeah,
Wonderful.
I see the little bubbles on the top.
Okay. All right. So we can keep going. Yeah.
Okay.
For the sake of time. All right, so moving on to our next slide, and you guys please continue filling out your Padlet, and it's important because, like as I mentioned, we're going to build on that, and at the end, you're going to have an actionable plan for how you're planning to make your session or your event better. So here we have a copy of our Build and Boost handout. And so this is just a written handout, and it really asks all the questions that are on the Padlet. And since we weren't doing an in-person session, we thought we'd give you an opportunity to do it on the Padlet. So this is where you get to boost and build, right? So Family Hour initially was structured around high school feeder patterns. And so that allowed our teams to foster collaboration among the different campuses, giving families a chance to connect with one another, right? So we have elementaries connecting with middle schools where their kiddos will be going, and then middle schools connecting with high school parents where they'll be going next. And so it really gave them an opportunity to really connect with each other. Additionally, our schools have the option to host family hour events to where they can offer families access to resources and support that they might not otherwise have. So we found this is a huge opportunity to capitalize on, but also build on our schools. We can move on to the next one. So why host family hour sessions, right? We all wonder, we do all this work with our campuses and with our districts, and we're doing the work and we're doing the work and we do this every year, but why are we doing it? So now that we understand what family hour is, let's look at some of the objectives of this initiative and what it actually supports and why we're doing it. So goal alignment, here we are. So we all have heard of ESSA, right? Every Student Succeeds Act. And so we want to make sure that what we're doing is aligned with our district goals. For us, it was absolutely aligning it with ESSA, and it was also aligning it with our district improvement plan, which for us is called our Always Learning Plan. You may have your campus improvement plan, right? Your SIP, your CIP. And so you also want to align it with your family engagement policy. Now, we do a lot of things. We include a lot of things that we say we're going to do, our commitments to our parents in our family engagement policies, in our campus family engagement, and our district family engagement policies. We include a lot of things that we promise our parents that we're doing. But we want to make sure that we're aligning the goals. So our workshops were strategically crafted to make sure that they empowered parents at the same time and they built knowledge for them with them, but also that it was supporting the learning journey at home. And so these series of workshops that we created delved into the core contents, right? So they surrounded STEM, they surrounded math, they surrounded reading, all dependent on the campus needs. So if the campus says, hey, you know what, our STAR scores really showed we need to focus on literacy, then that is the family hour session that we're going to host for that campus. And we're going to align all our goals with it. So the goals are aligned district-wide at that level, but also at the campus level. So everybody's winning, everybody's meeting their goals with this collaboration. And at the very end, our students' achievement is enhanced and we're building parent capacity. And of course, a collaborative school environment, which everybody enjoys. And Angela, if you'd like to add anything, go right ahead.
So exactly, like, and we're able to pinpoint it because of the collaboration that takes place with our campuses, with our different leaders in the departments at the district level. We're able to really pinpoint. So when Celine touched on literacy as being a need, we've gone all the way to the nitty gritty to where we're designing our workshops to help support students with practical approaches to stating the main idea of a story or an essay that they're writing, and really apply practical approaches that families can support their kiddos with. And we do that by collaborating with campuses and really taking the time to understand their needs. Because a lot of times we say we're meeting the needs based off of great ideas that we have, at the top, at a different level from the campus, but we're not really taking the time to actually have those conversations. So while these policies and these plans are very important, we have those as our guide in how we approach building our workshops, but it's not a one-stop shop on how we're approaching it. It's just where we're starting.
Mhm.
Okay.
Great.
You know what? Let me ask, because this is going to go into the next part of it. And I think
Mhm.
we're a small enough group.
Yeah,
To be able to share, like, what are your thoughts so
absolutely.
far? Are you all taking into consideration all three levels of the ESSA, your district improvement plan, your family and community engagement plan, whether it's the district one or the campus one? What are you all taking into consideration when you're building your family engagement workshops? And if it's been nothing, that's okay too, because when we started our redesign, we really had to look into this, because a lot of times, even when I started in family engagement years ago, I found myself at the end of the year scrambling. Oh, when I was trying to put together all of my documentation, did I do everything that I promised when I was looking for my documentation to submit for audit purposes, right? So what are you all focusing on?
I see in the chat, we do focus on the needs, but it's usually at the district level and not the campus level. Yeah, so great. Doing some reflection on what you're looking at. Rita says our district improvement plan and the partner's mission and goal, like the Texas grandparents raising grandchildren, they have their own goals, so that's being considered as well. Wonderful.
I have one.
Yes,
Okay,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
So for me, it's the goal is to get parents engaged because we have a lot of participation just in the fun events, fun involvement, right? But getting them engaged has been very challenging for Paris ISD because they do not come to those kind of events. So it really has not been successful for me when I try to focus on just the engagement part.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely.
So,
And Lisa Gonzalez says we focus on engaging parents with the school in an interactive way and resources in the community. Thank you, Lisa. All right, Angela.
so in planning, we want you all to think about, do you all only pull out your family engagement policies at the beginning of the year when you're reviewing and revising it, and at the end of the year? Or how often are you pulling out those policies and those plans to track your progress through the year? Which plans are you looking at? If you're not looking at a plan, we want you to write down like what you're going to start looking at throughout the school year in your planning to make sure you're hitting the marks. So we're going to go ahead and pull up the Padlet again. That way you all can, I'm going to stop sharing, Cassandra, if you want to pull it up, that way we can see what the responses are there.
Just know that if you want to just comment without a title within your comment, you can also do that as well. It will let you submit without a title.
Thank you, Cassandra. Yeah, I
So
think
I
someone had mentioned
see,
it was asking, the Padlet was asking you to include your title, but you don't necessarily have to, I believe. Okay, and then I see Kenzie's put in the chat, we had an anonymous participant ask if the district hosts the event or if it's up to the campus staff.
so it's a collaboration of both. So we have our district level workshops that we go and we bring to the campuses, but it's 100% in collaboration with the campus. And we usually try to tack it onto something that's already happening at the campuses where we know families are going to where we know families are already going to be there, and we ensure that it's engaging so that they don't just feel like it was a trick to get them there and sit them down and bore them to death, just talking to them rather than, you know, engaging them.
Engaging. Yeah.
And Miss Moreno, or Moira Moreno, said, we are trying to match campus level needs to district improvement plan. Each campus has different needs, so it's challenging to find a happy medium at times. So one of the ways that we have worked through that, like Celine had mentioned in the beginning, is that sometimes our approach is to go through a feeder, right? So, and what feeder means, for those of you who may not know, is the elementaries that they graduate into the middle school and then they go to the high school. So it's all in that same feeder, that same neighborhood, that same area. And what we do is we talk to both sometimes the middle school and the high school, and we ask them what the challenges that they're seeing, whether it's with comprehension or what sort of math skills, and we try to build and mirror an approach that's really applicable to all families. So we really take out who, like, being the expert, and we focus on the skills, the foundational skills, to be able to help students be classroom ready.
And Angela's going to talk about that in a little bit, but yes, Miss Moreno, what we did and what really just kind of supports all of the campuses and the district entirely is TEKS. And Angela's gonna share a little bit more about that. But TEKS, as you know, right, are all the essential skills and the standards that all of the students will be needing. And so by focusing on those TEKS is how we're able to align the goals to the campus and to the district. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that in just a second. Go ahead, Angela.
Absolutely. So LG mentioned you all have a parent family engagement framework. That's awesome. Let's see, Mesa Rover mentioned both district and campus improvement plan and spring parent survey.
Wonderful.
Great instruments and tools to use when planning and creating your workshops for families. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go on to the next one. And we're going to start by implementation. Let me see. Sure. So after we've taken it into consideration the commitments that we've made to families and how we actually support, classroom readiness, because that's something that we focus on more than making sure than doing the fundamentals that are happening in the classrooms with the teachers. We're focusing on how do we help to support students to be classroom ready. We take into consideration the following: the core academic topics, empowering families, providing knowledge and tools, keeping in mind student achievement always, right? These are all the starting components that are essential to planning a successful workshop for our families. And
one thing I'd like to mention, Angela, add that last part, always keeping in mind student achievement. That student achievement part, the fact that we always focus on academics in every single event is what allows us to use our Title I funds in every single event because it's always student academic focused. And so it aligns right to their academic goals, whatever those might be of the campus, but antiques. So that is what will allow you to always use your Title I funds because it's directly linked to academic learning.
Absolutely. And you'll hear me talk a lot about being classroom ready, because a lot of times the activities that we do with the everyday activities that we do with our kiddos, it's usually just very quick to the point. We don't really give our scholars an opportunity to think through different scenarios. So when we are, and give them the chance to lead different scenarios, right? And ask the questions. It's always because I said so when they ask us a question, and we really in our sessions try to focus on how can we help build the skills that the kids need when they go into the classroom. So these are the main things that we think of when we're thinking of getting our kids the support that they need to be classroom ready. So core academic topics, how do we empower families? And that's the engaging part, right? What knowledge and tools are actually going to be able to be digested by non-classroom experts, right? To support that student achievement. So this is our family hour formula, what we're going to share with you next. So there's a lot that happens. It's not just simply an idea. Great things don't come from just a thought and then just winging it, right? So this is everything that happens on the back end to actually create a strong, engaging workshop for our families. So we start with our purpose and alignment. We define our why. We always need to know why we're doing it. We align it to our goals. If we do not have our goals and our objectives side by side with our checklist of what is going to be happening during our event, then we're missing a big part of the puzzle piece. Planning and structure, frequency and format. So how it is that we take into consideration adult learning. We take into adult learning theory, making sure that families feel like this is something that brings value to them. And that comes with how we are approaching the situation and what our expectations are of our families with the content that we're sharing with them. Core content themes, run of show. How many times have we been been asked to participate in an event and we have no idea what it is that we're supposed to be doing? And there's a lot of expectations of what the expectation is of us when we get to the event, right? So making sure that you're taking the lead on what that run of show is, you're letting people know what their role is, whether it's engaging families, welcoming them, whether it's the one-on-one support when the capacity building opportunity comes up. You need to be the one that takes control of that run of show and lead those sessions. Campus preparation at the district level, for the sessions that we provide, and also for the toolkit that we provide for our FACE specialists, we create the flyers, we create the agendas, we create the run of show, and so that we can share with them what the expectations are of the campus of what we need from them. And we provide all of the resources. Basically, it's a turnkey situation where if we're invited to a campus to go and provide a family hour session, we are bringing everything, and basically the campus is just taking care of logistical needs to be able to have the space ready for us. We create our engaging activity. It's hands-on, it's practical ties to student learning. Again, our parents are not the experts. My daughter's doing calculus as a junior in high school, and I have not even looked at. I think I took pre-calculus when I was in high school, and that was many years ago. So what are the practical approaches that as a parent that I can use today to actually help my child to be successful in her math class? That's the thought process that we're going through when we're talking about practical approaches to helping parents build the skills that they need to support their kiddos. Celebration and sustainability. It is very important to acknowledge and celebrate families coming to the events, the collaborators who are willing to collaborate and put in the extra energy to make sure that the event is successful. Share your stories, capture those stories. The way that it's extra things, on the to-do list and part of the run of show, but those video clips that you saw of our family hour sessions do not happen by themselves. It's a part of the plan because that is how we entice other people to even want to learn more about our program. So it's very important that you take that into consideration when you are creating your events, because that helps to build momentum. It helps to get people excited about the opportunity to attend one of your sessions. Data and evaluation, collecting those sign-in sheets, those feedback forms, tracking numbers and trends, measures and outcomes. This session isn't about that, but there is a lot of opportunity to really measure and collect data that shows how we are making an impact with your families and what it is that you're bringing to them. And it doesn't require it doesn't require more effort than what it is that you are already putting into it. it. So make sure that you are doing that data collection, and your data collection should match what your goal outcomes state in your plans. So if you're looking at your objectives, you should be able to know what it is that you're looking for with your data and your evaluation sheets. Community and district support. So leverage your community partners, provide take-home resources that are actually meaningful and to your community. But the only way that you know that they're going to be meaningful is if you are building those relationships, one, with your campus, and two, with your families and getting to know them. Because again, a lot of times we have great ideas about the resources that we want to bring, but they are not always the resources that our families need. So we leverage community partners by building those relationships. And that's why we start every single family engagement session by building relationships. Because unless we know who our partners are, unless we know who our families are, who our students are, we're never going to be making the impact and the change that we want to see if we don't even know our audience. So your thoughts, what are your thoughts? Are you all doing a lot of these things? What is your approach? Do you see that maybe you're doing 3 of the 4 or 5 of the 7? Like what are you all doing right now? I want to hear from y'all. Go ahead and unmute and I want to hear it.
Tony Moreno had added a comment on the chat. He said, we make sure we're in alignment with the goals listed. We have used surveys and regular meetups with parent groups and are also working to develop interactive on-demand tools to help parents navigate district resources. So he's getting the parent input and identifying the needs and co-creating, which is what we want, right? We want to build this with our parents, which is what we did. We co-designed it with our families. And so they're a part of it. It's not for them, it's with them.
Absolutely.
And just keeping that in mind, I mean, it's always, important getting that feedback. I think one key thing that I've learned, I'm in my first year, just to provide some context in this role, but one thing that feedback that we have got is, with the surveys and the information the parents are getting, they also want to know, okay, how is this going to be put into action with this information that we're giving you? And I think that's one thing that I've learned to kind of like try to keep in mind as we go about this whole process and collect that information.
Absolutely.
Can you speak to that a little more, Tony? So we can all kind of see where you're coming from with that thought.
What's your role? And what's your role?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the Parent and Family Engagement Coordinator with Pflugerville ISD.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speak to that a little more and just kind of give us a little bit of a background so that everyone can kind of see where your perspective.
Well, I mean, this is my first year in the role, and obviously there's a lot of learning and resources that I needed to take in and training that I needed to take part in. But I mean, one thing that I think parents have shared is that they get a lot of surveys on a daily basis. It seems like almost on a weekly basis or monthly basis, or whether it's from their campus or other groups they're in. I mean, that's one thing they've shared very vividly with me. But it's also, I mean, they just want to know, okay, I'm sharing this question or concern with you, or this input with you. How is that going to play a role in the actions that you do to try to address this issue and to try to help build the bridge with parent and family engagement between parents and the district?
So I will share
sense?
Yes, absolutely. So I know and depending on the surveys and the impact or the information that we're collecting, for these purposes with Family Hour, we're trying to see if we're actually making an impact. So one of the things that we do with our workshops is we're measuring how confident families feel at the beginning of a session, and then how they feel after a session with actually taking the skills that we taught them during the workshop, and how they feel about implementing it at home and what the likelihood is of them implementing it at home. Because we want to make sure that, one, we're doing our job appropriately, right? To make sure that they're digesting the skills, they feel confident about it. So that is the focus when we take feedback surveys on family workshops. That is what we're looking at. Because if we're not getting the numbers that we want to see with family hour and making sure families are actually building capacity, then we need to adjust our approach. Does that make sense? So thinking about what our outcomes are. So and I know I see two other comments in the chat about building relationships. I know here at SAISD we have a lot of choice and opportunity for our families to choose where they want to go to school. And I always share with my faith specialists, if you haven't bothered to ask the question, what brought your family to our school? You're missing the very first question because there are a lot of reasons and there are a lot of options for our families, especially with choice and with charter schools and all of the different options out there. So if we're not really grasping what our families are, what brought our families to our campus, we're missing a great opportunity to build a relationship with that one question. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next one.
Thank you.
So, formula for success for the actual session. These are the four things that we take into consideration um, from when we're doing all of the work on the back end. These are the four things. Community builder is non-negotiable. Celine sometimes we will be very pressed for time and I'll be like, man, Celine, I just don't know if we have the time to really do the community builder. And she's like, we got to do it. We got to do it. So community builder is foundational. It is mandatory. Link to learning, identifying what that core content area that we want to focus on, engaging capacity building. So if you don't if you don't know what the difference between the link to learning is and what building capacity is, those are two very big pieces that that we need to understand. So link to learning is identifying we're going to focus on literacy. Engaging capacity building, that is where we are actually going to teach, we are going to engage, it's going to be hands-on, and we are not just going to talk at our families, but we are going to engage them and make sure that they are having an opportunity to put into practice what it is that we're teaching them. And then the other big thing, stakeholder feedback and our rollout input. So we need to make sure that we are hearing back from our families, that we are measuring what it is that we're doing to make sure that we are making an impact the way that we want to, according to our outcomes and our goals. Thoughts on that? Are you all including all four pieces in your family engagement sessions and workshops? Whether it's a festival or a fun, exciting event or a reading, a literacy night, are you all taking all four into consideration? If you're not, that's okay, because this is what the purpose is of us sharing this with you. So how many of you all are doing 3 of the 4? You can put it in the chat. You can say it out loud. What, 2, 3, 2 of the 4? I'm not hearing a response. I don't see anything happening in the chat. Okay, 2 of the 4. All right. 1 of the 4. Okay.
We're doing, I would say 1 of the 4. So I think we do a really good job at the link to learning, but it's
Okay.
all the other, all the other areas that will help be beneficial for parents. So we're not really building capacity. I feel like we're more so, like you said, talking at them. And then it also shows with the attendance of parents that actually come to the engagement events.
And that's
It sounds
usually
like
where we miss families. That's where we lose that connection with them. And that's where we lose their attention because nobody wants to just be spoken to for an hour without an opportunity to actually build what it is that's meaningful to them. So absolutely. Celine, you wanted to share something?
Yeah, I said it sounds like the missing piece, and this is where we kind of felt we were in for a little bit, is the engaging part, the practicing, the interaction. And that's the part that is also essential in this, is that we're not just going to share the resource, but they're going to get a chance to sit and practice whatever it is we're building capacity on, right? Whether it's literacy that day or whether it's critical thinking skills, they're going to get a chance to practice it with their student as they sit down. So there's that engagement part where we're actually building the capacity because they're doing it. They're getting a chance to do whatever it is that we're sharing with them. And I think that's the key part where they feel like they walked away like, wow, I know what to do now, because they actually got to do it and practice it with their student versus just being told what to do and then, well, go home and kind of figure it out on your own. And then they sometimes may not try it out because they're just so scared about trying it. But when you make the time to actually engage them and interact and give them the practice time to do it with their student, with another parent sitting nearby, then they build. That's where they build that capacity. So that piece might be the piece that you're missing.
Absolutely. And there's a couple of comments about stakeholder feedback is a constant struggle, even in higher education. I think feedback in general is a constant struggle at any level, right? And a lot of times it's because people who are asked to do those surveys don't feel engaged. They're not really getting anything out of the session. So if they're not getting anything out of the workshop in the session, then they're not really likely to be excited about it. They're not going to want to share. I will tell you that during our sessions, because families are engaged, because we're building relationship and community with them, in communicating to them why it's so important, because we use Title I funds, we're telling families, if you enjoyed this session, if you want us to continue bringing these resources to you, we need to know, we need to hear from you. And that's one of the ways that we build currency with them right then and there to fill out those surveys. Also, we connect it to the resources sometimes, right? When we can. So if we have a really fun resource like Legos or just any other, we try to make all of our
Or
sessions
game.
engaging and fun, or our games. We let them know before they can walk out of our session, we need to have their feedback survey. Especially if they want to take their Legos with them. And usually, because they had so much fun and they were so engaged during the session, it's really quite. I don't want to make light of it, but sometimes it feels very easy to get that from our families because they know that what they are getting from us from that session is actually meaningful and it's making an impact in how they can support their kids.
And one of the things that we learned too, you know how we all love to use QR codes now to get that feedback from our families? Well, we learned in one of the sessions, one of the grandmas said, "No, mija, I'm not doing this. Give me a paper. I don't like these QR codes. I'm not going to scan anything. Can you please help me?" Absolutely. So guess what? We do QR codes and we do paper copies because that's what they wanted. That's what they needed. And so sometimes it is pivoting and adjusting to whatever, but they saw that we made the change immediately for them. And when they see the changes, then they know, ooh, my feedback means something. They listened, they did something with it. And so I think as they're seeing these changes happen, then they know that the feedback's being valued. And so I told the ladies, it's going to be part of our practice because, but it's a lot more tedious in the copies. And hey, but that's what our families need. And we're going to do what our families need and we're going to respond to them and support their needs, whether,
Absolutely.
get it translated English and Spanish and making sure that we always do that. And so to your question, Lydia, Ms. Pickerel, yes, we use both. We have the electronic and we have the paper during our live sessions because those were, what our families needed in
So
getting that input from them.
So we want to give you all a second. We've shared how we collaborate with some of our with our approach, whether it's with the campus, whether it's with district leaders, community members, to actually enhance our programming. We want you all to jot down, like, if you're not collaborating with anyone and you're trying to do it all alone, that's a starting point, right? So we know that's what's happening. Like with what we're sharing with you, we're letting you know that we are not doing this alone at all. It requires a lot of collaboration, team collaboration, department to department collaboration, campus collaboration, partners. I want you to think about who you could be collaborating with and write that down. That way you can have an idea. You're not going to forget it, and share it in the Padlet. I'm gonna take you back to the Padlet and include it there.
One of the other ways, just to finish off on the feedback, one of the other ways, everyone, that we got some feedback was we had a wonderful opportunity to join our children's cabinet. And we actually got, a little focus group who was able to give us feedback specifically on our family hour. We invited them to one of the sessions. They joined. They were just amazed at what was happening. They said, "This is what we've been talking about as part of the children's cabinet, and you guys are doing it. So this is great." But just jumping on into different councils and in different groups that you already have formed at your district or your campus and asking them for the feedback is another great way to get input on what you're doing and making sure that you're filling the needs for your district.
Absolutely.
Have we talked about funds of knowledge yet, Angela? Not yet, right?
Not yet. We're going to
Oh.
get there though. We're going to go through here. So I'm going to let you all keep putting your answers in, and I'm going to keep going because I know so funds of knowledge is right here. So funds of knowledge are the cultural, experiential, and intellectual resources that families and communities possess, which can be leveraged to enrich learning. How are you identifying funds of knowledge in your community? You want to expand a little bit on that, Celine?
Yeah, so this is the key, everyone. This is the key to building those community relationships because here's where you find out that one of your dads owns a landscaping company, right? Here's where you find out that one of your families at your district or campus also has a bricklaying company. Here's where you find out all of those wonderful things about them that helps to build on those relationships. The funds of knowledge. Here's the bucket, right? What do they bring to the table? What can they contribute? And how can you make them feel valued with that contribution to your school? Because a lot of the times we just don't know. But when we start figuring out and learning about these funds, what each person brings a fund of knowledge, right? We know that Martha, our team member, Martha's funds of knowledge are her community contacts, right? Martha can reach out to her community contacts, and we know she's going to get us several $1,000s of donations for our team. That is Martha's fund of knowledge. We know that about her, right? Cassandra, we know Cassandra is amazing, right? With graphics, with technical skills, computer, all of it. So that is her fund of knowledge. So think about you personally, but also find out what those funds of knowledge are at your campus, because that is where you're going to have an opportunity to build on those relationships. Angela can give you an example of her personally with her school and an experience that they had with bricks.
So I will also, yeah. So at one of our campuses here, the inaugural class purchased bricks and they had them engraved with the student's name and the year that they graduated. But of course, it costs money to lay bricks properly. So they identified a parent there at the school who is experienced in that, and they got together one Saturday. He led the bricklaying to make sure that it was done right so that the bricks would be strong and last for many years to come. So really just getting to know families, just because a parent has a loud voice doesn't mean that we have to be afraid of those parents, right? I have a very loud voice. I am an advocate by nature. I have 2 kids in high school. And I have been a source of advocacy for my kiddos at their schools in very positive ways. So, really getting to know your families and identifying what it is that they bring to the table that they can use to enhance the learning environment. It doesn't always have to be directly in the classroom, but again, that classroom readiness, beautification of the campus, that makes a difference how a person walks into a building. So thinking about those funds of knowledge, how are you accessing that with your families? And if you haven't yet, what are after hearing some of what we've shared, what are some thoughts that you have? Okay, I'm going to go on to the next slide while y'all are doing that, and I'm going to share. This is a sample. Usually we would do this. We would actually have you all do this activity. This is what we did when we were at the statewide conference in October. We actually if you'll stop sharing, Cassandra. Okay. So one of our sessions, we call it stacking bricks. So this is a sample of an engaging activity that we offer to our families during one of our family hour sessions that includes all the pieces of the formula that we have shared with you, both with the information we've shared, but also through the modeling of this presentation. This activity is TEKS aligned. It's hands-on, it's engaging, it's informative, and it's practical to apply without expectations of families being the expert in the content area. In this particular session, we're focusing on building skills that are essential for all academic content areas within the TEKS. So so in this session, there are 3 different rounds that participants go through. And there's different challenges associated with it, and it involves building with Legos. But again, I want y'all to focus on the skills that we're trying to enhance here. And so we're going to show you some videos of people actually participating in this activity, and then I will explain a little bit more. So in this round, participants are having to stack bricks, but they're not allowed to talk or communicate. And I want you to look at the participants on, look at this gentleman's face, and he's actually a very young college student. He's an intern, and we were piloting this session with them. And and you're only supposed to be using one hand, but you see Celine is using 2 hands, so you're only supposed to be using one. And look at the emotions that are happening um, during the activity. And they're not allowed to talk. And we do this particular round with these limitations to really highlight the importance of communication, right? So, okay, so when you're doing this, the participants have 3 minutes to stack as many bricks as possible. And I will share that after this round, participants usually share their frustration over not being able to communicate. Some participants loved it because they operate better in silence. And so you get to know who it is. You get to know that person a little bit deeper, a little bit better, right? So in our second round, participants are allowed to talk, and this is with families and their kids. This was a dad and student event, and so dads were working with other dads and with their children at this event. So now they get to talk, and you'll kind of see their engagement here. Awesome. This group has 4 stacked already. So the kids loved this, right? Because they were being engaged with their parent. They were a part of the process. They weren't just spectators in the learning. They were getting to be a part of it. Now the third round is going to be a little bit more fun. In my opinion, not everybody gets excited. Did you want to share something about this round, Celine?
Yeah, I just want to say, guys, this is another example of, sometimes when we say, the participation, this dad's event was already happening. They have this is a tradition for this campus. They do this dad's event every year, but they don't have a link to learning, and they don't do any student achievement activity with them. So this is where we capitalized on that and said, okay, we can do this with the dads. And they're going to have an interactive time. They're not just going to be talked to, right? They did have some presenters to talk about a dad's group. But then we came in and you just saw the whole vibe of the room change, because now that we're getting to do, this was the first time for some that they actually got to build something with their student, with their kiddo. It's just a whole different type of experience for them, because they're doing it, they're practicing it, they're doing the activity versus just being told to do something. So capitalize on those events that are already happening, and then add the student academic achievement part to it, the link to learning part, right? Not just say link to learning, but engage them with the learning. All right,
Yes,
Angela.
the capacity building. So this next round, we presented this activity also at our Region 20 Expo recently in February, or the symposium. And so this was done with adults, but when this is done with parents and their scholars, typically the adults are the ones that are blindfolded and the students are the ones that are leading. But this is a video.
Okay, go down. All right, y'all are on one now. Y'all have it. You can pick it up and try to flip it more.
So in a lot of in our sessions where we've had our scholars being the leaders, this is the first time in a controlled setting where the kids actually got to be the leaders. And some parents express like, wow, I didn't even realize that my child had the ability to really lead and direct the conversation. And sometimes, depending on the age, it was like, wow, I can really see where my child needs to grow and improve on these skills. So when we're doing activities like this, it's really to highlight the importance of allowing our students to lead so that they can build their communication skills, their listening skills, their problem solving, their critical thinking. And while we're using, so students and families will hear, or kids will hear a lot, um, the manipulatives, right? In this scenario, the manipulative is the rubber band that is being expanded and contracted, and the string that is being used to pull and contract the rubber band. These are different ways to use tools, right? This is a different way to use a string and a rubber band. Has anyone ever done an activity like this? Similar? So so you've probably maybe have done it with stacking cups. You can see you've seen it in team building. So this is an activity that really works. We did have one parent. I remember during our first time rolling it out this year. She has her child is visually impaired, and she was actually one of the ones in the group that was blindfolded during the session. And she shared feedback after the session, and she said, wow, I had no idea. Like this really opened my eyes to experiencing the world the way that my child does. So when we engage families and we give them opportunities to learn in different ways, to build the skills that kiddos need to be classroom ready, we're really going to connect with them. Parents are really going to walk away feeling like they've or learned and gained something meaningful from a session. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. Like, after watching this, are you upset that you didn't get to do this in person? What are your thoughts?
You can unmute if you need.
Yeah, go ahead, unmute. So when we talk about thinking outside the box, we are really, and as a parent, like I shared in the video in the beginning, it's not always easy to figure out how to support our kids. We don't always have all the expert knowledge that our teachers have, that our professionals have, that are mandated to take regular professional development. So thinking of the things that we're doing and applying it in a practical way that families can digest, it really can change. It really shifts um, an unengaging session to engaging, and people wanting to come back and ask, why isn't this happening everywhere else? We're a small but mighty team, but we offer it as often as possible. Okay, so All right, so building together, this is something that we share with families at the end of our session, right? So with an engaging, fun activity, you can enhance problem solving, collaboration, community skills with bricks, like building bricks. It doesn't take a lot. It can be planting the garden. It could be, cooking in the kitchen, but finding things that are fun and engaging for both the adult and the student. And remember, when we're delivering this type of session, it's our responsibility to foster these vital skills, which even we as adults struggle with, because some of the rules, we didn't share everything with you, but some of the rules is you can only use one hand, you can't talk. And people were violating those rules all the time, even as adults.
Yeah.
So we like to remind adults that when we're getting frustrated with our teenagers, especially because they're not following instruction the very first time, even we as adults struggle with that. So we really try to hone it in to remind families like kids are learning, they're still developing, and it's going to require more than one time to really get the message across until they build that skill. Um,
Yes, Miss Moreno, she says, I really like that parents get to experience working in teams, just like the students have to experience in the classroom every day.
yes.
Absolutely.
And building that perspective from Rita. Yes, like perspective is everything, right? Being able to empathize and and understand where the other person is coming from. So we explain to families what the TEKS are. So if you don't know what TEKS are the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. TEKS are the state standard that outline what students should know and be able to do at every grade level in every subject. In every grade level in every subject, students are required to be able to exercise their cognitive ability in communication, in listening, in critical thinking, and problem solving. So if we are building family skills in those areas, we are TEKS aligned. It really is that simple. um, the link to learning, so student classroom expectations, we share a little bit about this, like what does that collaboration looks like? Collaboration is meant to enhance creativity and problem solving. These are all little snippets from the TEKS itself that we share with families, so we can give them little bite-sized pieces of the information so that they can take back and they can start implementing it a little bit at a time. Matthew Chavez says, even having parents explain why they broke the rules to accomplish the task can be a great learning and empathy building opportunity for families with their students. Yes, absolutely. We had a lot of cheaters and they felt the pressure and
Do
they
you
did
remember?
express that. Yes, they felt the pressure and they did not want to be the only group that didn't have any bricks stacked. And that's the same kind of pressure that our
Yeah.
kids experience. So yes, thank you for sharing that comment, Matthew, because yes, that happens all the time. And I love to point it out. I don't know if you heard me on one of the videos, but I will call out the cheaters. It's because I try to remind them, like, hey, like you're not following the rules either.
In one of the groups, we learned that the Legos in one of the baggies were a less number, so they had like seven, and everybody else apparently had like 10 or 11 Legos. So they were never going to win because they had the least amount of Legos to stack. And so, boy, they pointed that out quickly and said, "Well, that's not fair. We're never going to win. We have seven, and everyone else has 11, so they're always going to be higher than us." And so it was great just to see the interaction and the perspectives that are being built as they see what their students go through in classrooms.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a fun one. Okay, so at the end of a family hour session, we explain how to use the resources they take home with them. Participants complete the feedback requests that evaluate the session and measure impact. And we request participants to share photos with us. We ask them to, you saw all the great photos that we shared. None of those were stock photos. They were all from our sessions because we want to see what families are seeing also. So encourage them to share them on your social media platforms. It gets families excited to see them showcased in on social media.
And
All
so
right,
one last thing
so
I want to mention, Angela, about the teaks is that, guys, um, if you're building on the teaks, then you're aligning with campus goals. So
yep,
just know that if you're focusing on teaks with your activities, any of the activities, and Angela, I know you mentioned the teaks and the skills involved in each of them, but just know that if you're aligning to TEKS, you're aligning to their campus goals. So, if they want to focus on a specific subject area or core content area, sure, absolutely. But just know you're already focusing on their goals when you're aligning with TEKS.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to let Cassandra share because we're going to do two things right here. The last two items on the Padlet. We're going to we want to make sure that you're leaving with something that you can enhance your approach with. So what have you tried? What can you try next, to improve your programming? That's going to be the first one. And then the second one, what are going to be your next steps? What are you going to do next? Are you going to start building a relationship with someone to collaborate and network and help you to build a stronger workshop for your families for the coming up year or over the summer? A lot of you mentioned that you were only doing one or two of the four pieces of the formula for the actual session. So I'm going to let Cassandra pull up the Padlet, and I want you all to take a few minutes, and then we're going to share out. Then we're going to share out, and then we're coming close to the end of our session time.
Where were your gaps, right? You identified some areas for growth. What were those gaps? And then what did you find out you were doing well?
Lydia is asking, how often do we have family hour and what time has worked the best for you? So again, that goes back to collaborating with the campus, and we do sessions in the morning, in the afternoon, we do them after
Evening.
school, we've done them on the weekends. We have sessions with families, adults only, and we also have sessions with adults and students together because we want to make sure that we're modeling, what that supported learning looks like. And I will tell you that one of the requirements that makes the event a success is one, tacking it onto something that's already happening, and two, a mandatory RSVP. Even if we are talking with a family member and we are getting confirmation that they are attending, we are doing mandatory RSVPs. One, because we want them to know that this is an exclusive event for them so that they know that we're putting a lot of thought and time and effort into it. And so we always require for our family hour sessions, because we're at the district level, a minimum of at least 20 to 25 families, depending on the size of the campus. But I will share with you, we have had upwards of over 120 participants at a session, depending on the type of event and the type of activity that we're doing. So yeah, legally got
And
attendance.
do they respond well to the RSVP?
So not always, but that's part of the reason. So like when we're collaborating with the campus and from the beginning, we have expectations of the campus. We tell them we are giving you a minimum of 2 weeks to advertise the event and to gain
Commitment.
gain parent commitment and interest. We provide them with the flyer. They just have to do the legwork in sharing it. And so tell me the next part of that question. I lost my train of thought.
Is that you get good response from the RSVP when it requires them to RSVP?
So when they're not responding to the RSVP, whether it's in a text or whether it's in a QR code or an email or whatever, then that face specialist or even us at times have called, we'll start making phone calls to make sure that we're getting that commitment. And that's when they feel like, oh, I got a call. I got a special invite. So that makes it even more special for them or more exclusive that they got a phone call to be invited to something. And that's just an extra touch, right? That we get to have. But yeah, it's not always perfect. It won't be. But we adjust and we pivot our strategy based on what we're getting back.
And initially, there wasn't a positive response to it, but more and more as they see the reason why, because we do provide a turnkey session for our campuses, they understand that we're putting a lot of effort and bringing everything to them, so they're willing to put in the effort also. There's
Thank
another
you.
question from Lisa. Do you have equally good attendance for adults only activities? Yes, we do. So again, it just goes back to like how we're promoting the event, the reputation that we've built with our family hour sessions. And so yes, we do generally have equally good attendance. And part of the reason why that happens is because we'll partner with other departments in the district that are already hosting even all adult events, like our dual language department. And so we will go and provide that building capacity, that link to learning opportunity at their sessions. So for our very first session of the school year, we had over 200 participants at an adult only
Welcome.
event. It's really being strategic about our approach and what it is that we're trying to accomplish with the session that we're being a part of.
There's a question, Angela. Are there specific TEKs that we can share with campuses not specific to content areas and more generalized to all grades?
So what we
Yes.
shared during that activity, building communication skills, the listening, the critical thinking, the problem solving, those are all foundational to
Mhm.
every TEK.
Can we go back to that slide real quick? You want to stop sharing, Cassandra? It's the link to learning student classroom expectations, and there she'll see all those general skills. There we go.
So, and at every grade level, there might be a little bit of a difference, but
Right.
all students are expected at some point to be able to collaborate, troubleshoot, use instruments and resources, analytical reasoning, experimentation. Experimentation, like using the string and the rubber band with the Lego blocks in a different way, that's experimentation. And communication. We always tell our kiddos, like, ask questions, ask questions. If we're not supporting them at home with knowing and learning how to ask questions, then we're not helping them to be classroom ready. It really can be that simple. That small of a thing that we think we're doing can have an enormous impact with our kids in the classroom. Being able to identify when they need to ask for help, and working through those steps. So one of the things that I do when I talk about math with families is I will share. I may not know how to do the calculus problem that my child is working on, but I can walk her through taking a step back, troubleshooting. Did you go through all of the steps that you were supposed to go through? Have you tried reviewing your notes? Have you tried pulling up a video on how those problems are worked out? Have you I walk her through the process. I may not be able to help her with every single problem, but I can walk her through the fundamental process and skills of what it requires as a person to be able to work through a challenge.
And therefore, you're supporting the learning at home without knowing how to do that specific math problem.
Absolutely.
So you're still building parent capacity when you teach them these skills. And Angela, we have about 2 minutes left.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Because we are at the end. You all took care of that. I want to share our contact information with you all. If you all have any other specific questions, you all want to ask us about how we do our measurement for these sessions, we would be happy to share. If you want to reach out to us, Celine's contact information and mine is there. Let me share. Oh, I am already sharing it with you all. You all can take a screenshot of that, save that, and you all are welcome to reach out to us.